Moving on, each year we are warned about Borno floods and how Maiduguri and environs are susceptible to flooding disasters. Now, let's bring in Nnamdi Odikwo at this point. Nnamdi, what's there to know about past flooding, especially in Maiduguri, and what are the experts saying about the way forward? Nnamdi.
Thanks, Juma. I'm actually going to limit myself to the impact of flooding in Maiduguri between 2022 and 2024. Of course, within this period, Borno State faced what was termed a disaster within a disaster. Terrestrial rains literally turned streets into rivers, swallowing farms, homes, and of course, claiming lives as well. In 2022, for instance, and that's alone, relentless rains had earlier overwhelmed the Ngada River bursting through Maiduguri's fragile defenses. We saw streets, flooded. But then these streets were not just nature's fury alone. Years of clogged drains, deforestation, and unplanned urban sprawl had contributed to leaving many of the communities there in Maiduguri defenseless. In terms of impact, between 2022 and 2024, we saw over 100,000 homes submerged underwater, many sheltering families already displaced by violence. And in terms of human cost, that, of course, was considered crushing as well. At least 250 lives were lost, 1.5 million people displaced, some for the second, some for the third time. Crops meant to feed a region, hungry region, were destroyed as well. And with this flood, or with every flood, the cycle repeats, itself, with rescue teams scrambling, NGOs stretched thin, trying to help, and survivors as well feeling hopeless and looking for the way forward. But is there a way forward for Maiduguri? Yes, experts are calling for better drainages and improved early warning systems. They're also saying, look, government and the authorities need to invest more in flood barriers, as this is also an issue that has been typically and topically, canvassed for Jumai. Again, I would like to say, Jumai, just before I go, that Maiduguri has seen this disastrous flooding happen time and again, and I'm sure that residents are hoping that this time around, fighting back will be more structured and intentional.
Indeed, Nnamdi Odikwo, I hope that it will get better and people in Maiduguri that are just recovering from the last flood will be able to find succor through SEMA and NEMA, and they'll be able to live life pleasantly. And as flooding continues to pose a major threat across the nation, the question of preparedness is more critical.